Welcome back to the Denison Forum podcast. I'm Dr. Mark Turman, Executive Director of Denison Forum, sitting down again with founder and CEO of Denison Ministries, our cultural apologist, Dr. Jim Denison. Jim, good to see you today.
Thank you, Mark. So glad to be back with you. I appreciate the conversation as always.
Yeah, well, don't say so until we have the conversation. You never know if you're going to appreciate it or not.
Good point.
But we are almost to the end of Lent. We can see the celebration of Jesus's death and resurrection coming around the corner on March the 31st. And we hope that people are anticipating that with great joy, with great excitement. So we're going to talk about the significance of Easter today and hopefully bring some fresh insight. It's one of those things that if you've been a Christian for a while or just in the culture for a while, you may think that you kind of know all that you need to know about what Easter is. But I really wanted to just start with that word. I think words, you and I were taught in many ways that words are highly important. Imagination is fueled by words and by the things that we can imagine in our minds. It's interesting, we commonly refer to the celebration that we're coming to as Easter, although that word is never found in the Bible. Can you give us a little background of where this word comes from? Why do we use it in reference to Jesus's death and resurrection? Is there a different word that we ought to be using to try to be more winsome and clear in the culture that we're trying to reach with the message of Jesus? What do you think?
Well, you might make a case for a different word these days. You really might. I saw just the other day that 63% of Americans say that they are Christians. 81% plan to celebrate Easter. And so if that's the highest, holiest day of the Christian year, and yet if you do the numbers, that's around 60 million people aren't going to be celebrating, don't claim that they're Christians, and yet they're going to be celebrating Easter. What is it they're celebrating? Becomes your question. 43% are going to go to church, but 83% say that they're celebrating Easter. And so they're obviously not celebrating what we're celebrating when we think of Easter itself. And so maybe there is a case here to be thinking about some language that's a little more specific about how we look at this. And then when you know the etymology of the word, that even adds, I think, a little more fuel to that fire. The word Eostre itself, it's a German word. And it actually, we think, it's not clear, but we think it's associated with a goddess who was related to springtime. We think that might have been the name of this goddess, Oestre or Oester, are different ways of spelling. That's not definitive, but there's a lot of early indication that that might actually be the case.
I'm getting nervous. I'm getting nervous already.
Exactly. Yeah, it is kind of frightening when you think about it. That then you add Easter bunnies to all of this, and you get into some pretty pagan sort of ideas pretty quickly here. But I don't think we have to go down that road very far to understand that the word isn't today meant in those terms at all. I would imagine most people hearing this have no idea that the word might have a derivative going back to a Germanic goddess of the springtime or related to the springtime. But best we could tell, that is the actual etymology of the word itself. Now, as it comes into common usage, of course, all that gets left behind. And it just gets, it's kind of a synonym for spring. The idea for spring or for the value of spring, for new life. The idea of the new life that we're seeing in nature around us, all that. So you could see how that would get connected to new life in Christ, to the resurrection of Christ, the resurrection of spring, the resurrection of Easter relative to the resurrection of nature. You can see how all of that can get connected up. But to answer your question, that's actually, we think, the etymology of the word itself.
Okay. So just knowing that insight is, I think, valuable, important as we think about this. Because like I said, our goal is to equip believers. We want them to think biblically. We want them to live in holy ways. We want them to act redemptively. And like you said, around something like the celebration of Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection, this is what some people call our Super Bowl. This is our World Series. This is our prime time, if you will. But you also referenced a minute ago this kind of jumbled reality of Jesus and the Easter Bunny. That just lives in the cultural mind, as well as the change of seasons, that type of thing. I heard a comedian on Netflix not long ago talk about how strange some of these things are. That, hey, we're going to celebrate Christmas, and here's the birth of Jesus. Here's Mary and Joseph and their journey to Bethlehem and Jesus being born in a stable. Okay, let's go get a tree and cut it down and bring it in our house. How does that, how do we make any sense out of that? Same thing with Easter in some ways. Here's Jesus. Jesus came and was on the earth to be our Savior. He was crucified, buried, resurrected. So let's go get some eggs and decorate them. But that's all of those things are mixed up in our culture in a really big way. And I'm also thinking about parents. You and I have grandchildren. We're interested in how they are going to understand this. My 5-year-old granddaughter is going to tell the story of Easter using what are called resurrection eggs.
These videos come from Elder Green. These videos here come from Elder Green. Let me stop this one. This one is the longest one. Oh, I'm going to play the whole thing, though. I'm going to play the whole thing. But for people that may not, just so you can hear the argument, this is the other one. This is the shorter one. These three come from Elder Green.
All right, I'm going to close here just with the word Easter. There are a lot of Protestants and Messianic Jews who say, oh, Easter is a pagan word. It is based off of a goddess, the goddess of fertility, the goddess of the spring, Eostre, Eostre, different ways of spelling it. In a way that is somewhat accurate, but we have to understand how languages work. All ancient peoples, it doesn't matter if you're a Roman, a Babylonian, a Jew, a Greek, a Native American, whatever, everybody observed the 4 seasons. Everybody had them. Everybody knew about the spring equinox and the fall equinox. Even the Mayans in the New World understood all that. They knew about summer solstice and winter solstice. This is what God programmed into the universe. Protestants and Messianic Jews think if you somehow notice these annual cycles of equinox and solstices, you're pagan. And I don't understand how that can be the case. God is the one who programmed the equinox and the solstices into our universe and into our observation. Of course, the words for time were corresponding to natural forces because they're observing nature. And paganism is the worship of nature. It's false. It's idolatry. We Christians worship the creator of creation, but the ancient pagans worship creation itself. So for ancient pagans who spoke a Germanic Anglo-Saxon language, they spoke of the spring and they worshiped the spring as a divine entity, but it was the same word. Where does the sun rise? In the east. Rises in the east. Christ says that he will come again as lightning goes from east to west. So when I say I'm going to drive east, that doesn't mean I'm going to drive towards the goddess Eostre, even though it's the same word. Just like if I say, hey, I'm going to go to mass and worship on Thursday, you wouldn't say, oh, you're going to go worship Thor on Thursday, even though the word Thursday comes from the word Thor. You see, this is ridiculous. So the Christians that were in Germanic areas or Anglo-Saxon areas, they identified the spring equinox with the term Eostre, dawning, right? Sunrise, spring equinox. And so the name for the feast got tagged onto that. Do I think that we should be using the actual Greek and Latin word Pascha? Yes, and I do use it. Same thing with Lent. I call it Lent. I call it Quadragesima. The real word in Latin is Quadragesima, but shorthand in English, we use Lent.
What was said right here, you pagan police? What was said right here? Is it pagan or it's not pagan? These are Elder Green sources. Let me play this part. Let me play this one again. These are Elder Green sources. Elder Green is an Israelite.
All right, I'm going to close here just with the word Easter.
Remember what Pastor Mike said. Remember what Elder Joe said. Remember we watched Ruddy Brew video.
There are a lot of Protestants and Messianic Jews who say, oh, Easter is a pagan word. It is based off of a goddess. The goddess of
listen to most listen to Seminary Cove. Isn't what he's saying going against? Isn't what he's saying going against Elder Green? Met made his point, and Elder Green said he didn't have time for the games. Yes, the video's taken down.
of fertility, the goddess of the spring, Eostre, Eostre, different ways of spelling it. In a way that is somewhat accurate.
Listen, matter of fact, I have to leave this up here. Listen to the point. He's saying, isn't what he's saying going against Elder Green? Now, Elder Green sent this. This is Elder Green's proof that you people are wrong. He don't have no time to play games, he said. Now, Seminary Cove is saying, isn't what this guy's saying on the video cutting Elder Green? I'm too slow for this. Isn't what he's saying going against Elder Green? Most Excellent made this point, and Elder Green said he didn't have time for the games.
All right, I'm going to close here just with the word Easter. There are a lot of Protestants and Messianic Jews who say, oh, Easter is a pagan word.
Elder Terry Pope saying, Met said, Covey said, Met made this point. Terry Pope said this video do not agree with Elder Green. This video do not agree with Elder Green. Elder Green sent this to us. This is his source. He's showing y'all don't know what he's talking about. Y'all talking about, and he don't have no time for the games.
It is based off of a goddess, the goddess of fertility, the goddess of the spring, Eostre, Eostre, different ways of spelling it. In a way that is somewhat accurate, but we have to understand how languages work. All ancient peoples, it doesn't matter if you're a Roman, a Babylonian, a Jew, a Greek, a Native American, whatever, everybody observed the 4 seasons. Everybody had them. Everybody knew about the spring equinox and the fall equinox. Even the Mayans in the New World understood all that. They
remember what Pastor Mike said. If it originated at a pagan, let me just let it play. The smart minds are here. I'm a dummy.
Knew about summer solstice and winter solstice. This is what God programmed into the universe. Protestants and Messianic Jews think if you somehow notice these annual cycles of equinox and solstices, you're pagan. And I don't understand how that can be the case. God is the one who programmed the equinox and the solstices into our universe and into our observation. Of course, the words for time were corresponding to natural forces because they're observing nature.
I remember what's being said. Remember what he's saying, and I'm going to play 3 or 4 masters in Israel that said Christianity is sun worship and Christianity is pagan. Remember what Elder Green sources are saying, and I'm going to play masters in Israel.
And paganism is the worship of nature. It's false. It's idolatry. We, Christians, worship the creator of creation, but the ancient pagans worship creation itself. So for ancient pagans who spoke a Germanic Anglo-Saxon language, they spoke of the spring, and they worshiped the spring as a divine entity, but it was the same word. Where does the sun rise? In the east. Rises in the east. Christ says that he will come again as lightning goes from east to west. So when I say I'm going to drive east, that doesn't mean I'm going to drive towards the goddess Eostre, even though it's the same word. Just like if I say, hey, I'm going to go to mass and worship on Thursday, you wouldn't say, oh, you're going to go worship Thor on Thursday, even though the word Thursday comes from the word Thor. You see, this is ridiculous. So the Christians that were in Germanic areas or Anglo-Saxon areas, they identified the spring equinox with the term Eostre, dawning, right? Sunrise, spring equinox. And so the name for the feast got tagged onto that. Do I think that we should be using the actual Greek and Latin word Pascha? Yes, and I do use it. Same thing with Lent. I call it Lent. I call it Quadragesima. The real word in Latin is Quadragesima, but shorthand in English, we use Lent.
Okay, let me stop this. And go to his other video.
Origins of the word Easter. Is Easter named after a pagan goddess? Should we even care? Let's find out.
What did who's that? That was Elder Joe. What somebody said only the King James translators use. I believe that was Elder Joe that brought that up. Might have gotten that wrong. Other translators don't use that. Forgive me if I'm wrong on who said it. I thought it was Elder Joe.
Now, this episode is strictly about the origins of the word Easter, not the origins of Easter itself. The question, does the word Easter have pagan origins, is a completely different question to, does Easter have pagan origins? And we're only dealing with the word. Before we say anything else, it needs to be perfectly understood that the word Easter, used for the resurrection of Christ, is only in the English language. Most languages around the world, including others in the British Isles themselves, like Welsh, for instance, use a word that is derived from the Greek word Pascha, meaning Passover, because Easter Sunday is the fullest expression of the Passover that has been celebrated since the days of Moses. So if anyone ever asks, why don't Christians celebrate Passover? The answer is, we do. It's called Easter Sunday now. As such, Pascha is the word you will most often hear in Orthodox churches, because Eastern Orthodoxy hasn't had much communications with the Anglo-Saxon language until recently. The last time before the 19th century was in the 10th. Before we continue, I want to reiterate something we've said on this channel before. Christians have no worries or fears about things that have had a non-Christian past, whether those things be words or people. That's why we're not bothered by words like Saturday, January, or Wednesday. We are no more afraid of pagan.
Saturday, January. He didn't say Sunday. Day is the sun. That's the largest Israelite argument, Hebrew roots argument on the internet.
In these things, then
Ed said this is an Eastern Orthodox video he sent to prove his point.
We are in the pasts of saints who came from paganism.
Yes,
we
Elder
believe
Green,
that Christianity is the
sources
strongest of all religions. We believe that Jesus Christ is more powerful than any pagan deity, and we believe that Christianity is the fulfillment of all religions ever. This video isn't an apologetic for the word Easter or defense of the word Easter. This video is just something interesting because I like to know the origins of names. Getting back.
He said this origin isn't a defense of the word Easter. Now remember, Elder Green said he preached the Easter services before. He's gone to Easter services before. He don't think y'all are worshiping the devil. But the word is pagan. Is that what he said, or am I making things up? Am I presenting it wrong? It seems like everybody claims their whatever they say is presented is not presented right, yet this channel brings on more people to present their own position.
Back on track about pagan goddesses, though, I'm going to quickly discount the goddess Ishtar from the running. I'm only mentioning this because it has been said online fairly often that the word Easter comes from the goddess Ishtar. This is a silly conflation that only happens because of the vague similarity in pronunciation. Ishtar is separated from the word Easter by several thousand years of history, by several thousand miles in space. She was in Babylon, and by the fact that that's Babylonian. And we need to remember that the word Easter is specifically an English-only one. Okay, so having got that out of the way, this is where the story really starts. In the 8th century, a saint in England, commonly known as the Venerable Bede, began compiling a number of histories of Christianity in the British Isles. Now, one of the things he writes in these histories is the history of the word Easter. He describes the names of the Celtic months of the year, and April, where Easter is most often celebrated, is Easter Monath, the month of Easter. There's different pronunciations for that name.
Terry Pope said Elder Green said the word Easter is pagan, period.
Monath is actually the Celtic origin for the English word month today. Now, Bede says that it is called Easter Monath because of the goddess Eastre, that this month was full of celebrations honoring this goddess. When Pascha and the Paschal season arrived in England, the locals quickly applied these names they already had to this new season, and Pascha became Easter. This is according to the Venerable Bede. Now, he is a saint, he is quite reputable, and his works have helped historians for centuries. He may very well be completely correct on this origin of the word Easter being from a pagan goddess. But some scholars aren't so sure, and they believe there may be an error in this. So to look into that a little bit further, we need to look at everything we know about the goddess Eastre. That's right. There is nothing else. If it wasn't for this single paragraph in the work,
If it was, there's nothing else. Trace it back to ground zero. Trace it back to the primary source. There was nothing else. Oh, I'm going to show y'all Nathaniel and all the masters and the master teachers and what they're saying. If Thursday is store day, it's pagan. So what are you saying, Phineas? So you don't use the word Thursday? If you're a true follower of Yah, you wouldn't use the word Thursday? Remember what others said. If you're not involved in paganism, you can't wear Nikes. We're involved in these pagan other folk. This is the other nations. Learn not the ways of the heathen. He's saying nothing else. I got to be careful, because if he's saying it come from pagan, are there other terms used for the God of the Bible that comes from pagans too? Most Excellent said keep the same energy. Most Excellent said essentially that's what he said. The origin of a word doesn't make how people use the word pagan. Are they saying, that was Pastor Mike, somebody, are they saying the same thing? Is the same thing being said here? The Jews have months that they have gotten from Babylon. Oh, we ask y'all all the time, did the Jews pick up anything from Babylon? Couldn't pick up nothing from them devil worshippers. Those were the oppressors. Why would you pick up anything that come from the oppressor? Remember, y'all said y'all living in the land of the oppressor. Don't use nothing from these demons, the everlasting spirit. The great God of Moses don't want that, right? The early Israelites wouldn't do that, right? This is the proof Elder Green said. Is the same thing being said? Y'all tell me what's happening right here. Let me go back.
look at the origins of the word Easter. Is Easter named after a pagan goddess? Should we even care? Let's find out. Now, this episode is strictly about the origins of the word Easter, not the origins of Easter itself. The question, does the word Easter have pagan origins, is a completely different question to, does Easter have pagan origins? And we're only dealing with the word. Before we say anything else, it needs to be perfectly understood that the word Easter, used for the resurrection of Christ, is only in the English language. Most languages around the world, including others in the British Isles themselves, like Welsh, for instance, use a word that is derived from the Greek word Pascha, meaning Passover, because Easter Sunday is the fullest expression of the Passover that has been celebrated since the days of Moses. So if anyone ever asks, why don't Christians celebrate Passover? The answer is, we do. It's called Easter Sunday now. As such, Pascha is the word you will most often hear in Orthodox churches, because Eastern Orthodoxy hasn't had much communications with the Anglo-Saxon language until recently. The last time before the 19th century was in the 10th. Before we continue, I want to reiterate something we've said on this channel before. Christians have no worries or fears about things that have had a non-Christian past, whether those things be words or people. That's why we're not bothered by words like Saturday, January, or Wednesday. We are no more afraid of paganism in these things than we are in the pasts of saints who came from paganism. We believe that Christianity is the strongest of all religions. We believe that Jesus Christ is more powerful than any pagan deity, and we believe that Christianity is the fulfillment of all religions ever. This video isn't an apologetic for the word Easter or defense of the word Easter. This video is just something interesting because I like to know the origins of names. Getting back on track about pagan goddesses, though, I'm going to quickly
look at what can we admit? Listen to Phineas, everybody. Listen to this. Can we admit those people calling the word for Passover Easter, which is not a transliteration but adopted from a pagan spring festival, or am I tripping? He's saying, can we at least admit that? Can we at least admit that? Go ahead. You wanted to share something, Greg?
Yeah, hi. How are you?
All right.
Got a few questions I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, concerning this video, what you see on this video, how you understand it?
Well, it's not really regarding the video. I'm a bit confused about some, and I wanted to ask you a few questions about Christ.
Oh, no. I'm not dealing with that right now. I'm just going to play a video because we had an incident in the community a little bit earlier. We'll take care of that in the morning or whatever time we.
But it's really what my faith has been compromised, and I really need to know the answers to these questions.
Okay, you call back tomorrow. It'll be okay.
Can I ask you?
Discount the goddess Ishtar from the running. I'm only mentioning this because it has been said online fairly often that the word Easter comes from the goddess Ishtar. This is a silly conflation that only happens because of the vague similarity in pronunciation. Ishtar is separated from the word Easter by several thousand years of history, by several thousand miles in space. She was in Babylon, and by...
Is this what you're saying? Is this what you're saying, Jay the producer? Is this what you're saying, Jay the producer?
the fact that that's Babylonian, and we need to remember that the word Easter is specifically an English-only one. Okay, so having got that out of the way, this is where the story really starts. In the 8th century, a saint in England, commonly known as the Venerable Bede, began compiling a number of histories of Christianity in the British Isles. Now, one of the things he writes in these histories is the history of the word Easter. He describes the names of the Celtic months of the year, and April, where Easter is most often celebrated, is Easter Monath, the month of Easter. There's different pronunciations.
If it's faithful, what if what, Pastor Jay? What if he was for real? What if he was for real? If he's elect, he gonna be all right till the morning? He that begun a good work in you. If he's elect of God, it's okay.
For that name. Monath is actually the Celtic origin for the English word month today. Now, Bede
I'm an
says
expert
that it is
in
called Easter
Easter.
Monath because of the goddess.
Who is this now? Who is this?
I'm an expert in this kind of field, and I wanted to tell you a few things about Easter.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't know why you guys are worshiping this paganistic tradition. It's completely pagan. Jesus didn't worship, celebrate Easter.
What about Bede's what about where Easter come from?
I beg your pardon?
Where Easter come from?
Where does Easter come from?
Jay, you want to talk to him, Pastor Jay?
Hey,
He should take the
Jesus
main
wasn't even crucified.
Oh boy, everybody, the experts. Goodness, this is
Easter.
maybe I should have waited till the morning.
That this month was full of celebrations honoring this goddess. When Pascha and the Paschal season arrived in England, the locals quickly applied these names they already had to this new season, and Pascha became Easter. This is according to the Venerable Bede. Now, he is a saint, he is quite reputable, and his works have helped historians for centuries. He may very well be completely correct on this origin of the word Easter being from a pagan goddess. But some scholars aren't so sure, and they believe there may be an error in this. So to look into that a little bit further, we need to look at everything we know about the goddess Eastre. That's right. There is nothing else. If it wasn't for this single paragraph in the works of the Venerable Bede, we wouldn't even know this goddess even existed. So how do we know she exists at all? We only have Bede's word for it.
Just Bede's word for it. When did Bede live? Just Bede's word for it. Does that make a difference, or that don't really make a difference? Does that cut anybody here, or that doesn't really make a difference, Jay, the producer, because Bede say it? Is Bede a primary source?
Could he have been mistaken? If it was a mistake, what could that mistake have been, and what might the actual origins of the word Easter be? The only other language that has a word similar to ours for Easter is the German word Ostern. I'm not entirely sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Now, this word means dawn or sunrise. It is an ancient Germanic word. Dawn or sunrise is a rising of the sun from the darkness of the night. This is a symbolic image of the resurrection. It is coming from the East, and East has been a historically deeply valuable symbol for Christians. In fact, if you look at most traditional churches around
the altar is facing the east because he said he's coming from the east and shineth in the west. I'm going to tell y'all something tomorrow about East and the Masonic Lodge and some things that individuals have said in Christianity.
world, unless it is absolutely impossible, we always build them facing east. Whenever Christians offer prayers, we try and face east to do it. The English word for east on the compass comes from the German word Ostern. So might the word Easter also come from the same word meaning sunrise, meaning dawn, meaning the literal east? We took a compass direction from the Germanic language. Maybe we took a name for an important day from that same language.
Is it sun worship because it's connected with the east? Oh, you folk got to be careful. Woo, y'all got to be careful. Because y'all be think y'all cutting one thing and y'all opening up the whole door to the Masonic order and why they do what they do and the similarities with the church. Is this a cut? And if it is a cut, for whose side?
The word Easter might actually be referring to a glorious sunrise. And this is something worth keeping in mind next time you're up early enough to see a sunrise, that you are watching a beautiful symbolic image of something far more powerful and far more beautiful, the resurrection of Jesus
Is
Christ.
that Jada?
All of this speculation might be completely wrong, and Bede might be entirely accurate, and we have no problem with that. Something that you need to remember is that saying Easter is named after a pagan goddess isn't being anti-Christian, and it isn't being particularly edgy. To say that is to literally quote a Christian saint. Now, doing that is perfectly fine. It's a very Christian thing to do, and Christians highly approve of that. Finally, a word about the...
So they're saying the dawn with Elder Green bringing up the word dawn, but what was yo, Kobe out? Somebody got to jump on in and explain it. Because Green going to say I'm misrepresenting. He don't say it in those words, but basically that's what he's saying. Like I'm trying to hide some great deep knowledge he bringing out, and we playing games over here. That's what Green is saying. Who is this? Easter Pagan.
Orthodox. Now, I have heard some Orthodox insist that Orthodox don't say the word Easter and that we only say the word Pascha. This is not true and not fair. Remember, we are talking about the English language here. Now, it is true that most Orthodox cultures use the word Pascha. That is the one we're used to. That is the word I grew up with. But we have no real problem with the word Easter. Remember that this word was already ancient before the lands of Rus, where so much of Orthodox culture grew, even heard about Christianity. The word Easter is centuries and centuries older than many things that we Orthodox love. It is a perfectly fine and good word for us to use. No Christian should be afraid or worried about using.
How is he sending this word, and this word is, I don't know. You getting them pictures? See that? You see how they can steal your identity so fast?
This word. Why not? Because our forebears in the English language have for centuries used this word with meaning. They felt this word in their hearts when they said it, because they were using it for the greatest event in history. When they said this word, they encompassed everything they felt about Easter Sunday, Pascha, the resurrection of our Lord. So we are done, and that is hopefully a little extra back.
Who? Elder Green, these are the 3 videos that Elder Green sent. Did this one help the position? I'm slow. I'm sorry, I'm slow. I'll just let the video play. Did he make it sound like you could use the word or you shouldn't use the word? Did he prove the word was pagan? Or he said it could have come from pagan origins, but it's fine. What did he do? What did he do in this video? Now, let me look again. This is the video. Kobe said, which trash can this video goes in? Did this video help Elder Green's point? Kobe, in Kobe's opinion, what this man just said is Bede made it up. Yeah, they done had my picture and everybody here, bro. But that ain't lying. This is a whole mess. Chris said that video doesn't prove that. He used the word, so what's the consensus on the topic? Can we say it started pagan, then Christians took it and to venerate Christ? Said no, he said the opposite. Brown said not looking good for the home team.
Background for the word, and remember that the event is greater than the word. If you're interested in the tea, it is a black tea with mandarin.
The event is greater than the word. So the word is pagan. I ain't give it tell y'all what it say. It say whatever it say. Whatever it say. Elder Green right, and y'all wrong. Let me get back into this. Is the other one. All of these come from, yep, this is the other one here. He's going to give a more in-depth breakdown here.
What would you say to just everyone listening, but also particularly parents, grandparents, about how important it is that, yes, you make a distinction between.
Look at this. Terrence Jones saying, did Elder Green look at these videos before he sent them? He said, these are the three. He called them from the side of the highway. His phone was dying. But he said he was going to send these videos. So I just shut the whole live down. Hey, yo, I promise. Is this Leo?
Yes, sir, y'all. I had to wake up a little bit.
Thank God. All right. If this is the best impersonation, I'm going to let you slide. Go ahead, Az.
Oh, what's going on? No, it's me. What's up, Brian?
Okay. What are your thoughts?
It's not good, man. Not looking good. I don't think the videos are affirming what Elder Green is trying to insinuate, because it's not saying it's definitively pagan. And I thought that's what the consensus was from what Elder Green was presenting, that it is pagan.
That's what
and these videos are supposed to affirm it, and they're not really doing that. They're actually adhering to, if it is, then it's not necessarily pagan. It's just a different word. It's nothing connected to a goddess. And that's kind of where I'm seeing now. But
what are your thoughts? If this is the case, what are your thoughts on what you're hearing then?
I think Elder Green may need to look into it again. That's all I would say.
The same thing he told you to other
Kobe. Oh, Kobe, no, it wasn't a bad thing. But yeah. I would say like what's being shown isn't at least to me.
You wouldn't have sent it to for your point.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay,
Brian,
y'all
can I
heard
share my
that.
screen?
Yes, sir. I'll be right back. I'm not gonna even mess with no coffee this time of night. But tomorrow we're gonna have to just go ahead, because my phone.
I'm gonna show a little bit today. I just know Elder Green wanted me to show some sources, so I'll just show a few.
Thank you.
No problem. So yeah, so I just wanted to show some sources Elder Green asked me to. So this is from Easter. I just put something quick together. There's a book that a lot of people reference. It's one of the, I would say, best sources to review some early holidays and origins. It's called The Stations of the Sun, A History of Ritual Year in Britain by Ronald Hutton. He's a known scholar that talks about the origin of the holidays, specifically in Europe. I have another scholar, I'll be talking about that a little bit later. But in the book, it's a chapter called The Origins of Easter, and I'll read this excerpt. Some folks in the back chat know what I'm talking about with this one. It says, there remains, however, the problem of why the Germanic-speaking areas of Europe, you're going to hear Germanic-speaking areas of Europe a lot in the next, it shouldn't be more than 6 minutes, in sharp contrast to others, did not derive their name of this celebration from the Passover, but from the term which is rendered into modern German as Ostern and modern English as Easter. On the face of it, the issue ought to have been solved by Bede in the early 8th century as part of his work on the calendar mentioned earlier. He's talking about the day Temporum Rationi, or the reckoning of time. He declared that the name had derived from that of a goddess, Eostre, after whom the month in which Easter fell had been dubbed the Easter month. Easter month. If I'm mispronouncing, I'm sorry. It's a little late. This passage has been so often quoted without any inspection. This passage, talking about the Bede reference, which is the main primary for the 8th century, connecting the two, this passage has been often quoted without any inspection or criticism that is necessary to stress that it is subject to all reservations lodged by Teeley against Bede's assertions concerning the Mother Night cited in the section dealing with Christmas. Because remember, this book is talking about most of the holidays in ancient, or I would say more ancient Britain, or just like the medieval time period. It falls into that category of interpretations which Bede admitted to be his own, rather than generally agreed or proven fact. So I just want to make sure I do this. I'm just going to go through these real quick. So this is the source right here. So this is the only one I could find. Like I said, I'm sorry, y'all might have other translations, but this is the Bede source that everybody keeps talking about, being like the primary for the connection between Easter, the word, being rooted in a goddess view. Kobe's right. So if you have it, this is all free. You can get this online. Yeah, Kobe. So Bede admitted that this is his own view. He has not verified this with history. This is his own connection that he has made. He has no source for this. This is his own interpretation. This is his own eisegesis, so to speak. This is that's from
now,
straight from him.
wait a minute. Now Leo said this is his own eisegesis. That's a problem when we hear that word. Read Phineas, yes. Leo. I want to make sure, just in case Elder hear this, or maybe he probably won't hear this tomorrow. We may have to play it again tomorrow before he say we're unfair, we misrepresenting. I have to say, where Pastor J at? I'm sorry for cutting you off. Start from read what Phineas is saying and just keep going.
Yeah, German Spring Festival, no connection to Bible Passover or goddess Ishtar. The German Spring Festival mentioned, you'll see a little bit in a minute. I'll kind of talk on that. And then, he made it up, Kobe. He pretty much made it up. And Michael Brown, you're saying I'll get back to that part too. I just want to read this because you're going to keep hearing people talk about Bede. So
he made it up, his own explanation. Is this good for y'all? Somebody that lived 600 years after the fact.
Yeah.
Is that good? Is that what would you call that in your opinion? And people using this like this primary. He lived with Paul and them.
This is his own view. This is his own made up idea. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But
bankruptcy. We can't even go ahead, Leo, because we'll just don't go. You just go ahead. Don't pay these folk no.
Yeah, pseudo. Yeah,
wait a minute.
Right. That's a better word. Pseudo.
Wait a minute. Oh no. Oh boy. I didn't want y'all to cuss Elder Green. That's what made Elder Green call in, and then I felt bad because I think little mother hit me. She said, "Man, Dunamis and Elder Joe was having such a good conversation. You dead the conversation based on that." For Elder Green, that's not going to fully explain it anyway. They'll say he don't have no time. As little mother said, that we putting the words out there. Covey used it, and Covey said that's pseudo to do that. Make something up, and then somebody going. But why so many people on the internet is grabbing this then, Leo? Plenty of people in almost all of Israel would do this. Almost all of Israel. Hebrew roots movement. Why would they never go? Leo, you go ahead. I'm gonna be quiet.
These comments is wild. So Numani's saying this is not a primary source on the origin of Easter. Like, bro, oh my goodness.
When was the yeah.
I'm saying, so I'm gonna read this. So what you're gonna continue to hear is the oldest mention that connects Istra, to Easter is Bede.
Now I'm sorry. Now before you go on. Numanity, what's the primary source? Because remember, he's the one that gave us hypostatic union. Never mind. Go ahead, Leo. I'm gonna leave you alone. You probably want to hear that night. Go
ahead. No, it's all good. So this is the oldest mention. Like I said, this is the only one I could find. If you got other translations, feel free. I would like Elder Green just to notice how this is translated. Just be mindful of that. So this is Bede, the Reckoning of Time. This is free online. This is by Faith Willis. And I'm just going to read the one green part, which is the primary part that this is directly from Bede, the translation. It says Eostre or Eostre has a name which is now translated Paschal month. Some would say that says Easter month, but this is Paschal month, and which was once called after a goddess of theirs named Eostre, in whose honor feasts were celebrated in that month. Now they designate that Paschal season by her name, calling the joys of the new rite by the time honored name of the old observance. So this is the primary source that is used to connect Easter to Eostre, or this goddess, and saying these are the same names. So this is the primary for that. Kobe, this is the only source of the origin of Easter. Yes, it is. This is the only one. This is the only source, right? And this is it right here. You can find online. Just go to chapter 15. It's free. But I wanted to make sure I did that before I continue. So there's a few things. I'm not going to read every single thing here today, but I wanted to just make sure I read this. So I know the brother said a number of German scholars cast doubt upon its utility during the 19th and earliest centuries. Now, this is talking about casting doubt on what Bede is saying. So this is the issue. Although not with sufficient enough evidence to prove it in turn, this is talking about these German scholars. Two facts do seem to emerge from the discussion. One is that the versions of the name given by Bede were used widely among Germanic speakers of Germanic languages during or shortly after his time. Thus, the Christian festival was known as Astramatha in the main valley during the 8th and 9th centuries. The other is that the Anglo-Saxon Eostre, signifying both the festival and the season of spring, is associated with a set of words in various Indo-European languages signifying dawn. Now, y'all gonna hear about this a lot because you know Elder Green focused on this. And also goddess, who personified that event, such as a Greek Isos, the Roman Aurora, and the Indian Asuras. Now, notice that they're connecting to all these other deities in understanding and events, not necessarily the Anglo-Saxon or specific Germanic one. There are other ones being connected because it's focusing on the names and titles.
Just
So
putting just throwing in a whole gumbo, throwing everything in there.
Correct. This is multiple different deities being connected here, not just the Germanic or Anglo-Saxon one. So this is the last green part here. It said, it is therefore quite possible to argue that Bede's Eostre was a Germanic dawn deity. Now, hear the dawn word again, who was venerated appropriately at this season of opening and new beginnings. It is equally valid, however, to suggest that the Anglo-Saxon Easter month simply meant a month of opening or the month of beginnings, and that Bede mistakenly connected it with a goddess who either never existed at all or was never associated with a particular season, but merely like Isos or Aurora with the dawn itself.
All right, park right there. Mistakenly. What does when you make a mistake, humanity, if something is mistakenly done? Because somebody here said, makes sense to me. Mistake. Oh, but we'll go back to Evergreen source because this is your source, and your source, you just run and grab stuff. It's already established. You just run and get the grab and stuff and just get to doing, you just doing the most. Keep going, though.
I've had these for years. I've had this for years.
Okay.
I've had like the next, all the sources I'm about to show right here until you see Googled are sources I've had for at least over a year. Pull up
Saint Bede and Al, because I have to say that humanity saying it's showing the association to the origin of Easter. That's a good thing. Yo, go ahead, Leo. I'll get him. Go ahead, Leo.
Bro, like this is, you're saying the association, but even the association is being challenged.
The association is being challenged. People just, because we don't want people out here to just tell y'all anything. I got a bridge for sale. As a matter of fact, I got 3-4 of them. I got rid of the Verrazano Bridge yesterday, but I got that Brooklyn Bridge for sale. Man, Leo, I don't know. I think,
and this is a known scholar, by the way.
And I think that it is spiritual. I love what Elder Harris said. It's a spirit against Christianity. I'm gonna show you two masters in Israel, fast-growing channels. Anything that's blowing against the church, and then it's spent a certain way. Blow it against the church plus against white people. It's double power in our community. That's why everybody walking away from the faith, coming into the truth. You can't come into the truth with pseudo, can you, Leo? Never mind. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm gonna just go ahead. Just go ahead.
No, it's all good. No, it's all good. So, like I said, I'm not quoting the whole entire chapter, just another part, and I'm going to go to the next source. So this is next book. So this is the next part right under this paragraph that I just shared. So if you read this in chapter 17, this book is not that expensive on Kindle. It's the next part. It says with the removal. So he's connecting that because the association was mistakenly connected by Bede. He's saying now with the removal of this shadowy deity, meaning Eostre, from the canon of historical certainty, there evaporates any reliable evidence for a pre-Christian festival in the British Isles during the time which became March and April. So he's saying if you go back and look at all these connections that Bede was making, it's very likely he made a lot of this up with his own views and polemic pretty much against the Christian church. Not necessarily Christian church, but against those within the region that he was in and attacking them and saying it's connected to paganism. If you take away these views because he has no source to back it, all the connections pretty much leave for the pagan deity connection to Easter. That's just one. This is his first book. So he has another book out here, and this is one section in it. I just quoted one line. I just thought it was interesting. This one is called Pagan Britain. It's a similar book. You might not be able to find this for free online. You might have to buy this one. I got it through my school. But it says, it's Pagan Tradition, Ronald Hutton, same author. It says, the greatness of all Christian festivals, Easter, was, however, tied not to any pagan celebration, but to the Hebrew Passover. I'm going to read it again. Easter was, however, tied not to any pagan celebration, but to the Hebrew Passover, and overshadowed the major pre-Christian feast of May Day, so much that the later was given only to two minor apostles. So just want to show this quick quote that he has in another book that's from the same author. It's tied to it because it's literally the same. The title that's given to it is used for it. If you just go to the translations of how it's translated, it's the same day in practice. So like the word Paschal and Pascha, it's really, that's what it is for, at least how many see the translation of it into English is Easter. Might be beef. Like I said, you can still use Paschal if you want to. Hey, you're saying it's not, but I'm saying some of the sources you'll see disagree with that. All right, so this is another one y'all can find. Now y'all can find this for free. I think it's on academia.edu or one of those sites that you can get these for free. But it's called From Easter to Astara, the Reinvention of a Pagan Goddess by Richard Sermon. I'm not going to read the whole thing here. This is a part about Easter eggs and rabbits. We can talk about another day. I don't want to talk about Easter eggs and rabbits right now. He kind of refutes a lot of the connections here. But this is one part I wanted to bring up because Elder Green said bring some sources. This showcases it here. It says, so this is in the conclusion section. It says conclusions. The Paschal Festival, Easter. I'm going to say that again, Elder Green. This is how he's writing it, Richard Sermon. The Paschal Festival, Easter. So are they synonymous here? Are they used the same way? That's just how it's seen here. Has its origins in the Jewish Passover, which was the time of Jesus' crucifixion. In most European languages, the festival has a name derived from Pascha. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. The Hebrew name for Passover. Bede was clear that the timing of the Paschal season and that of the Anglo-Saxon Easter month was simply a coincidence. I'll say that again. Bede was clear that the timing of the Pascha season and that of Anglo-Saxon Easter month was simply a coincidence. We can read the other part. I was going to get to this other one, but it's talking about the symbols and stuff, but we don't talk about that one now. Bede's explanation of the name Easter has in recent years been the subject of much debate, which a lot of people have seen today. Some of the videos. In the English-speaking world, this has largely centered on whether his interpretations of Anglo-Saxon Easter month sorry about that. In the English-speaking world, this is largely centered on whether his interpretations of the Anglo-Saxon Easter month was mere speculation. However, Bede also provides evidence that Easter formed an element in personal names when he recorded the life of Easterwine, abbot of Wearmouth, and whose name could either mean Eastern friend or Estre's friend. Nice. See how it says either. Phoenix, y'all painting the same as. Oh, okay. But you're saying it's a German festival, but like let's kind of showcase kind of how you got that connection. Again, that book I showed earlier kind of speaks on where the eggs and everything comes from, if you want to look at that. In Germany, the debate should be seen in context of and possibly as a reaction against the work of Jacob Grimm. This is probably after Bede. It seems like from some of the works out there, Jacob Grimm is the next person that actually relies on what Bede is saying, who first proposed that the German equivalence of Estern or Estromont derived from the same Germanic goddess. So this is what this Jacob Grimm is saying. While there is no real evidence to support Grimm's reconstruction goddess Astra, which a lot of people connect to Easter, attempts by various German linguists to find alternative origins. Hold on. So the direct work from Jacob Grimm has no direct connections. Now folks are looking for alternative origins.
What that mean? They're going to look for something else. Whatever stick on the wall, that's what we say. Never mind. Go ahead.
Attempts. So even that, they said the reconstruction goddess Ostrava attempts by various German linguists to provide an alternative origins have so far proven unconvincing. These theories have suggested ways in which the festival, now this is where the issue might be, these ways in which the festival name Osterun could have developed in Old High German, but have no adequately explained how the cognate name Estron has developed in Old English. So those two connections, there's no line of reasoning or proof to see these two to be connected. Last part from this book, this is a journal that you can find. Alternatively, there may be a more direct route by which Ostern and Estromont could have entered the German language. So that's where the issue is. Y'all saying the connection to the Germanic, Proto-Germanic, the etymology and things like that. They're actually looking into the language and seeing how these words got connected. Possibly. Much of Germany was converted to Christianity by Anglo-Saxon clerics such as Saint Boniface, who were likely to have been celebrating Easter by that name during the course of their ministry work. Did the 8th century German converts simply adopt the Old English name Estron and Estromond into their native language, which then appeared in the Old High German orthography as Ostron and Ostermonth? This explanation would seem to fit the known evidence and does not require any complex linguist arguments or existence of a Germanic goddess Ostra. So he's pretty much saying these converts came in earlier already practicing the Easter already and using the term, and or using terms similar to, and they adapted that name into their language. So this was already happening. These terms are already used. No connection to a pagan deity. Next one. This is a quick excerpt from a book. It's from Albert McKinney. Shout out to BK Apologist for this series that I got. It's called Jesus and the Sun. Is Christianity a solar myth? But there's I read this a while back, and there's a mention here from Easter. And I'll just read this one part. It says, there are also those who link the celebration to paganism through the name Easter. Some people doing it here. Read it again. There are also those who link the celebration to paganism through the name Easter and claim it took over earlier celebrations to various such pagan goddesses as Ishtar and Eostre, from which Easter was derived. However, this is the green part. Left out of such discussion is the fact that the name Easter is a latecomer to the feast that is usually primarily in English-speaking lands. The early Christians called it Pascha, which derives from the Hebrew Pascha. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Passover. And this is the name that used in the Latin and Greek churches. That's the name used in the Latin and Greek churches. Indeed, the name for the holiday in French, Italian, and Spanish all derive from Pascha and not some Greek, not some pagan goddess. So he's saying all these translations, there's no connection to a pagan deity. It's the Pascha. So a lot of people saying, oh, this is all connected to pagan deity. That's not true. All right, this is the last one. This is from on the Pascha. It's an excerpt from the work about Melito. It's a Quartodeciman liturgy and Melito on the Pascha. I just want to read this one part. Just thought it was interesting. It says the Quartodecimans Pascha comprise what we know both as Good Friday and as Easter. And the reason I want to highlight this one part is because when we go back to Encyclopedia Britannica, the call out was to the Easter week. This is kind of what the connection is in terms of the Easter week and what these days included. So I'm talking about Good Wednesday, Good Friday, and then and also Easter, which would be Sunday worship. Just wanted to call that out. So Elder Green asked to look into and just Google some things. So I went ahead and what's up, BK? Went ahead and looked at a few books online. Not books, just Google some stuff like he said. And I noticed some things. I don't know.
Let me hear this. Don't BK got a video on the eggs? Somebody showed me three. I don't know how long ago.
No,
go ahead. I want to hear this.
Yeah. So I I put Googled in there. I mean, that's all I'm supposed to do. Just Google it. Just Google it, and you find all this. So this is from Beth Allison Barr. She is a professor at the University of Baylor. Her areas of expertise and specialization is medieval and early modern England, women's history, and church history. She has a PhD from University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill, MA University. It doesn't go specifics into what those are, but she does have a PhD, and her specialization, she teaches at Baylor. So this is an article on the Baylor's website. Y'all can go look it up. It's called Why Easter Was Never Anything But a Christian Holiday. This is from March 24th, 2016. So it's about 8 years ago. So I'm going to read this part right here. The idea of the existence of a pagan celebration forming the roots of Christian Easter came from an 8th century scholar known as the Venerable Bede. Bede claimed in his works, The Reckoning of Time, that there was a celebration of the goddess Eostre, which took place each April, that was replaced by the Christian celebration of the resurrection of Christ. However, there is no mention of this goddess in any other literature from the time outside of Bede's work. I'm going to read that again. This is similar to what all the other sources are saying. And then there's a few more too. However, there is no mention of this goddess in any other literature from the time outside of Bede's work. Therefore, we are unable to confirm the existence of such a pagan deity. So the beef is that's already a disconnect right there from other books that talked about it. If there's no deity, where's the pagan claim? Now you're going to say, oh, the dawn thing. Well, she's going to touch on that. The lack of evidence makes it unlikely that any kind of celebration in goddesses' honor existed. Let me read that again. The lack of evidence makes it unlikely that any kind of celebration in the goddess' honor existed. Barr said, the issue is also one of etymology. So we talked about this before. Bede suggested that the term Easter, now pay attention to this, was derived from the name of the month in which the goddess was supposedly celebrated, which was the equivalent of April. A more modern theory, here we go, a more modern theory, though, is that the word Easter originated from a mistaken translation. Didn't we hear this from somewhere just earlier? Is the word Easter originate from a mistaken interpretation of the early Latin-speaking Christians' designation of Easter week as Hidodoba Alba. Now, remember the Alba from the Encyclopedia Britannica. That's what Elder Green was focusing on. Or the week of Albus, because here's what, now this is one, remember what Elder Green was focusing on with the Alba and the Albus and meaning dawn. Because of the white robes worn by the baptismal candidates during that time. So the connection to Easter and the Hedo Dumada Alba, or the week of Albus, is connected to the white robes worn by baptismal candidates during that time. Although in this context, Alba serves as the feminine form of albus, meaning white. Some thought it was the word alba, meaning dawn. Now, if you don't understand the issue and why this is a big issue for Elder Green, I would say, is that's his biggest takeaway from the Encyclopedia Britannica. So if dawn is even a misinterpretation, you can't keep bringing it up, Elder.
And no, Elder kept talking about that dawn. He wanted us. I hate Alton. I shouldn't have said that. Go ahead. Just keep going.
So it means white, based on what this scholar is saying. It wasn't dawn. It was white. Yes, Covey. That's what she's saying. The misinterpretation is connecting it to dawn. So it's actually meaning white in connection to the white robes worn by baptismal candidates. So here, old high German speakers took the word alba, this is the misinterpretation, to mean dawn, and started referring to the holiday Easterum, which meant dawn in their language. The white man. But this is really interesting. Now, this is something I want to make sure I show too. Easterum eventually evolved into contemporary German word for Easter, Estern. Now, we went through the Estern, understanding these deities are not connected. And then the English Easter. Now, this is where I thought it was interesting. Before the 4th century, the holiday was referred to as Pascha for its association with Passover. The word for Easter in many European languages, derives from Pascha. Elder Green, you said, pull up some sources that say this. The word for Easter in many European languages derives from Pascha, which as French, Piques, Spanish, La Pascha de Resurrection, Dutch, Pasan, and Italian Pascha. The name Easter is clearly related to the word Pascha and is more likely associated with the time that the resurrection is celebrated than any sort of vague pagan deity. That's one. That's just the first one from Google. All right, it's another one. We've been messing with, I don't know if y'all know what pathos.com is. They have a few articles, Christian content. But y'all can just Google pathos.com, and it's called Eostre, Easter, Oshara, Eggs, and Bunnies. And this is from March 9, 2017. I just went to Google and I found these. So this section, it says the origin of the word Easter and the naming of the spring equinox, Australia. According to the British historian Bede, the word Easter comes from the name of a Germanic fertility goddess named Eostre, whose name was given to an entire month, Esther month, and then eventually to a specific holiday occurring in that month. The one we now call Easter. The problem with all of this is that the only source for the goddess Eostre is Bede. Read that again. The problem with all of this is that the only source for the goddess Eostre is Bede. There aren't any tales of Eostre throwing eggs at all the good little Germanic pagans or her riding a giant rabbit. So it's hard to say with certainty that she existed and is the source of the word Easter. While evidence of the historical Eostre is a bit scantily, there are some tantalizing ideas about where the goddess might have come from, assuming she was worshipped historically. So, like, it's going to go into other deities about the Indo-European goddesses. Like they say, going to bring up the Greek Isos, for example, like we went through the earlier sources. The questions then becomes whether the dawn, the word dawn is brought up. Dawn was named after the deities in question, or if the deities were named after the rising sun. So he's saying, is it possible, even if you go, not even going with remember the other website said that Beth Barr questioned and said there was a misinterpretation even with dawn, saying it meant white. But here's even going with the dawn translation. Is it possible that these deities either then made the word dawn in the direct connection, or the word dawn was already existing and then the deities were then associated with that? The word Easter then could be linked directly to a pagan deity or simply mean beginnings. So even then, it's not even associated with a pagan idea. It just means beginnings. But then, yeah, I remember the scantily connected sources already around it is messed up. All those asteroid, all the different mentions right there. That last source said Easter in English came from asteroid, meaning the word dawn. We just went through this already, bro. She said right here in the green, let me go back to it right here. It says, a more modern theory, though, is the word Easter originated from a mistaken interpretation of the early Latin-speaking designation of Easter week, and she goes into the word with the Alba, or the week of Albus, because of the white robes worn by baptismal candidates during that time. Although in this context, Alba serves as the feminine form of Albus, meaning white. Some thought it was the word Alba, meaning dawn. So that's where the misinterpretation is. They thought it meant dawn and not white, which based on her in the modern context would be white. So even understanding there, it's a misunderstanding. Here we go with the etymology.
I'm sorry, hold on a second, Leo. Why is this a problem, Alton? Why is this a problem, Covey? Somebody said, look her up. When we start using names Who else? What is the problem? You see what humanity said?
Yeah, he
A
said
lot
look
of
at
people come
etymology
here
of
and say
Jesus.
that. Why is this a problem, Covey and Alton, if it is? Look up the
Etymological
etymology of
fallacy.
the word. What's that gonna tell me exactly what's that gonna do humanity?
It's going to
And
tell
why
you
they
where the
want
word
to,
comes
why they
from.
don't want to do that. I hear a lot of people say that. They looked up somebody said, what the etymology got to do with the never mind, just keep going, Leo. We're gonna do a part 2 on this tomorrow. Just take your time right here though. I don't know what
No, it's
time you
all
got to
good.
get the kids ready in the morning if you do, but
No, you good. You good.
we
So I just want to read this.
We got to walk through this stuff slow.
Yeah, like I said, I just did this because Elder Green wanted me to do the 5 sources, so I just doing
That's
that.
right. Thank
Like
you.
I already showed the 5, but he said Google, so I just wanted to do some. This is stuff I found from Google directly.
Thank you.
So this is another part. So another candidate for the historical estray is the localized goddess worship by Anglo-Saxons in present-day country of Kent in southeastern England. It's in Kent where we see the oldest references to names similar to estray, and that's Esteranga. Appears in 788 CE. Do y'all know what time frame that is? That's 8th century.
My math ain't no good, but that's a century. That's a few hundred years, more than 500 years. Yes. That's a long time. That's longer than America been around as a nation. But go ahead. I'm here for the comments.
No, it's all good. So it says, he brings up this linguist Philip Shaw that talks about the book of pagan goddesses in early Germanic world. It says Shaw downplays the connection to dawn. Dawn coming up again. To dawn, and focuses on the linguistic evidence linking the two deities to the east. Though the dawn connection might still exist, even there, since the sun rises in the east. So that's where they're making the connection with sun to east, then that means it's pagan. But if you remember, even with the video you showed earlier, if you're going to go with that view of east, that's folk talking about a direction, not a pagan deity. And now he even here, Shaw's actually connecting it to more of the sun worship, if you're going to even link those two. And that's what the linguistic connection is. In German, Easter is called Estern, and according to Jacob Grimm, talked about Jacob Grimm earlier, who was writing in the 1830s, the name derives from the German goddess Astraea. Sadly, though, there is less evidence of Astraea than there is for Estray or Estra. So like the Easter connection, Estra, like all these connections, he's saying there's less evidence in this one for Astraea as well compared to Estray. It seems to be something Grimm pretty much concocted on his own for whatever reason. A century and a half later, a American witch and poet named Aidan Kelly went looking for Sabbat names more interesting than spring equinox, summer solstice, and autumn equinox. He ended up adopting Austera for the vernal equinox, and we've been using it for 40 years now. It just feels right for the holiday. Now, this is what I think is interesting how he said this. And considering the equinox association with fertility, the rebirth of earth, the beginnings and new beginnings, it all fits in comfortably with the themes of the Christian Easter. Now he's saying, if you look at what the others are doing, from what I'm understanding too, it seems pagans are associating themselves with Christianity and their themes. And I think personally for like outreach. So you're going to associate with the Christian forms and beliefs to then try to draw people in from Christianity. So it's really associating with fertility and what Christianity and what Easter means with these views, and then you try to bring people in with the associations. I just saw this one too online. Went to Googling. Evidently, I think this brother Mark Ward, he works at Logos, I believe. He has a PhD from Bob Jones University. I just got this directly from Logos. I just copied. It's Easter a pagan holiday? Some say yes, but is it really? By Mark Wars from 2021. This one's not like super like, hey, this is gonna tell you everything. I just thought this one part was funny. And I'm gonna make sure, like, I don't know if y'all know, but y'all can let me know. Did Elder Green source the Oxford English Dictionary? When he was raising up those 5 sources, was Oxford English Dictionary one? If so, let me know. Like, I didn't go back to look at it, but I just want to make sure. But this one, so this is the part that says, for number 1, we're not sure that Easter was a pagan word. So this is from this blog. You can look it online. The most sober and reliable source out there, the Oxford English Dictionary, dutifully cites the Venerable Bede's contention from 1300 years ago that Easter is derived from a pagan holiday. But that holiday was not Greco-Roman.
Oh, Lord Jesus, help me, Lord. Just a whole mess.
Yeah. It was Anglo-Saxon Easter, Bede says, was the goddess of spring. And yet this is the Oxford English Dictionary that he's quoting says that this view. So I guess this is more updated. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just going with what he's saying here. Like I said, mind you, I'm just Googling it and I'm reading what I'm seeing on Google from the article. Is it not? This is Oxford English Dictionary saying it is not about the view for Bede and the connection to the goddess. Is not confirmed by any other source, and the goddess has been suspected by some scholars to be an invention of Bede's. However, it seems unlikely that Bede would have invented a fictitious pagan festival in order to account for a Christian one. Now, this is what he's saying. Now, this is what the Oxford English Dictionary is saying. Now, this is what this brother Mark Ward is saying. This is what you get with scholars, and this is what you should get. And on the one hand, followed by an on the other hand, an admission that all the evidence is not sufficient for making a determination. We simply don't know the history of the word Easter. That's what he's saying here. All right, Covey, all the recent scholars says Bede was wrong. Got to get some new books. Good thing we passed. Man, the trash cans. Oh man.
Oh, I'll read it again because he read it. I like the way he read it like ignorant. All the recent scholars say Bede was wrong. That's how come you can read one encyclopedia and another one 18 years later, and it can say the consensus now is. Ooh, y'all don't like that. How can the encyclopedia change their position? We change it. People, that's what scholarship does. And I brought up the thing a long time ago in medicine. They thought they could put leeches on your body and it can help you.
Breen, you see what they're saying? The symbols speak louder than historical sources. Jesus Christ. So don't even read the history. It don't matter. Just the symbols is all you need to see. Okay.
This is what y'all doing out here. Yo, I got to go back to Elder Harris. Just the hate for Christianity is so strong. But keep going. Keep going.
Yep. I'm wrapping up soon. I'm wrapping. This is he had this one more. He was talking about more of the word, like to stop worrying about. So I just want to read this one part because I know Elder Green was talking about etymology. Now, Michael Ward is saying this. Like I said, I haven't looked even into like why he's saying this, but I'm saying he's saying this here. It's usage, not etymology, that determines the meaning of English words. I'm gonna read that again. He said it's usage, not etymology, that determines the meaning of English words. I remember Met said something about the word nice. And if you look into the etymology of what nice means, it means stupid. But yet we don't use it to mean stupid. So I thought it was interesting when I'm just reading the source and it's kind of affirming what Met is saying about this. It's really interesting. So I just wanted to show this one. And this is the last one for the Google part. Everybody know the Library of Congress. I thought it was funny. Library of Congress had an article on this. But it says here it's called Astoria and the Hare, not ancient, but not as modern as some skeptics think. It's from April 28th, 2016. It says her history begins with Estrella, talking about the deity, like the Easter bunny and all that stuff. An early medieval English goddess who is not documented from, let's read that again. Her story begins with Estrella, a early medieval English goddess who is not documented from pagan sources at all and turns up in only one early Christian source, the writings of the English churchman Bede. Now, this is the other issue. If the only source is Bede, and then Bede getting beat up, so he ain't got no footnotes, he ain't got no sources for it, then let's just throw it all out. But I see people don't want to do that. Last part for this one. It's impossible to tell if Astoria as a goddess ever existed. It is possible to tell if Astoria as a goddess ever existed outside of Grimm's proposal. As for Estrella, there is no evidence of her worship except in Bede's book, and possibly in place names, which could, however, just mean east. There are certainly no ancient stories in which she transforms a bird into a hare. So again, this is another thing you can just find on Google that pretty much says there are no connections to it. Primary sources, I got in code just to play. This is Bede. I showed that earlier. I went up to Hippolytus of Rome. He used, if you look at the English translations, it's using Easter. That's the only reason I got this here. Socrates, you go to his. I know me and Kobe talked about this before, but I just threw it up here because he's using the word Easter here. If you just turn about the translation into English, when was Socrates? 3rd century. Oh, he's 4th century. Hippolytus, that's 2nd century. No, it's 3rd century. So Hippolytus is 3rd century. If you look at the translation Easter in English, he's using Easter here. Socrates, 4th century. No, he's going into 5th century. Actually, Sozomen, he's going to late 5th, mid to late 5th century, and he's using the word Easter here too. And that was it. I just wanted to show these are different people, church fathers, that if you look at English translations, they're using the word Easter, and these are all before Bede's day. Just wanted to show that. That's it, Berean. I didn't have much else. That's
all right.
it.
You see anything else in the comment section?
I mean, outside of the Israelites saying Ishtar and bring up all the other deities and stuff.
Oh, the regular stuff.
Yeah, Numani saying not one arguing, opposing your view though. Okay, I got you. I don't know. Yeah, Phineas saying, he's saying if the point is say Bede was wrong or they think that he was wrong, that seems to have been established. But most these sources are tracing back to Germany spring. None of them are tracing back to the Spring Festival. They're saying the view.
No, he's saying they. You're answering him. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm answering. Yeah, they're not tracing it back to the Spring Festival. The Spring Festival has been associated with it. They're tracing it back to Pascha in the translation of the word. Here we go again, Michael Brown. Why is Easter calculated according to the equinox? Just curious.
Now remember what Elder Green said.
Yeah.
I mean, Elder Green source said all of the nations understood the equinox and all of that stuff, and that come from God. Elder Green source said that.
Right.
Israelites said that come from God himself. And all nations understood that.
Yeah. I'm gonna read this real quick. I got more on
the calendar. Go ahead.
I got more on this, but they keep talking about the Easter eggs. If y'all want more on this, actually, y'all can read this book, The Stations of the Sun. I have it. I just didn't put in this one. But he talks about the Easter eggs and actually where a lot of the Easter traditions come from. You'll be surprised a lot aren't pagan. Y'all might get upset with that. But here, right here, it's another part from this article. It talks about Easter eggs and rabbits. 2 Easter symbols that are often said to be associated with the goddess Estrella or Astara are the Easter egg and Easter rabbit, originally a hare. However, There is no real evidence to support these claims. However, there is no real evidence to support these claims. The egg is probably the most well-known symbol of Easter and was a great significance to the early church. And he's referencing this Newell 1971. But I believe this book is called The History of the Egg or The Egg of Easter. You can borrow it on Web Archive right now. You can borrow it and read it for free. You just type in Newell, I think it's Egg of Easter or Egg of Easter, something like that. And it goes into the breakdown of how the Easter egg is connected to Easter. Spring eggs heralded the beginning of new life after the cold winter months and also symbolize the resurrection of Jesus. Let me read that again. Spring eggs heralded the beginning of new life after the cold winter months and also symbolized the resurrection of Jesus. By the Middle Ages, it was customary throughout Europe to give decorated eggs on Easter Sunday when they could finally be eaten after long the Lenten fast. Sorry about that, y'all. In England, these colored Easter eggs were also referred to as pace or paste eggs, a name which again derived from the Latin Pascha. This is so. I guess even the Easter egg paint. Well, never mind. Let's read again. In England, these colored Easter eggs were also referred to as pace or paste eggs, a name which again derived from the Latin Pascha. In the 17th and 18th century, egg-shaped toys were given to children as presents on Easter Sunday. I don't know if I haven't seen no pagan stuff nowhere through here. But the 19th century, these Easter gifts included cardboard eggs filled with sweets and chocolate Easter eggs that we know today. The earliest evidence for the Easter hare or ostrus is recorded in 1678. So all the connections to the pagans and all this stuff. This is after the slave trade done started. America about to become a nation. So this is not even. This is the first documentation of an Easter hare.
Oh man, Alton. Not Alton. I'm done with Alton. Forever Chatty talking to you. What is the question? Yeah. Just do me a favor. Read that thing. Forever Chatty.
I'm asking because that's where the mix-up might come. Those eggs and things come later. Yeah, so those eggs and Easter egg stuff do come later. Like I said, this is more of a connection directly to. They're saying the connection is to the Pascha and like understanding what they are, but they're not necessarily associated with pagan origins. Now, like again, the 1st century, 2nd century church, they weren't doing this, but this came later. But there is no root or pagan connection from these eggs.
Somebody, Tribe of Yam is saying mind blowing. So it's not Hebrew at all. When is everything Hebrew in the Bible? It got to come directly from the Hebrews, or did the Hebrews get some things from the rest of the world before the Hebrews existed? Before Israel existed, did other people know about deity, about God? Even when we use the term God, is that dramatic right there? If I'm going to pray God, I pray God help me. Are you worshiping the devil or you're a European spirit? Because somebody doing something stupid. Somebody silly around here. They just don't know any better. I should say it like that because some people are saying some things, and all of what a few brothers been showing is it's not working consistently. Elder said he could even receive it in his spirit. If the Canaanites, if anybody else was using deity in a way that we see it later on used in Genesis, because Genesis wasn't the first book on the planet, nor the first book in the Bible. Some people can't receive that in their spirit. When my feelings goes against all fact and established The research in history, what do? We could be running into some problems. You see anything else before we get out of here? We got to pick this up. We got to. Oh, you see, link to the book down. What do you say?
Yeah, literally, I spoke and just posted the link. He just posted the link to the book to download. Good looks on that for everybody.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you, nephew.
So this book right here. So you guys can go download this. This give you a lot of information on Christmas as well as Easter. This is one of the primary sources, not that primary in terms of time frame, but he's like one of the go-to scholars to look at the origin. To look at the origin of holidays. Yeah, so you can definitely look to him for a lot of stuff. And like I said, he's all the footnotes and everything. I didn't put them on here. I got slides for him. But again, like
if you ain't smoking weed, they got fireworks, which we know come from the Asian spirituality before the Bible. And he got fireworks. If you ain't MFing, smoking weed and keeping the Passover with pagan fireworks, and they worried about eggs. I like when the chat said there ain't no Easter egg doctrine. Find the church and they preaching Sunday morning. What color is your egg, my children? Find it, y'all. Oh no. What is he working? Bruce, what do you want? Don't you come?
Oh, Bruce, what's up, man? What's up, Bruce?
What's going on?
Wicked Roman Catholic. We done woke it. Go ahead, Bruce. And don't be mad, y'all. I'm not taking the video down. Y'all been asking about Bruce. I hate y'all and y'all relationship with Bruce. Y'all been asking about Bruce. Now he here. Y'all gonna start emailing me. Y'all better not. I'm gonna block y'all. Go ahead, Bruce. Oh, he gone. Lord, the rapture occurred and we all left behind except the one. Let me put the link out there. Bruce sound like he just woke up. He's like, oh, there he is. He's like, man, let me deal with these fools right now.
Hey, praise the Most High, y'all, son. Hey, I came in late. So I guess I'm kind of at a disadvantage. So are y'all saying Elder Green are you all saying Elder Green is wrong for saying Easter is pagan? I'm trying to get some understanding.
Elder Green is saying that, at least from my understanding, that pagan, like the word Easter, is pagan, and he's not saying that celebrating the resurrection is. He's not saying none of that, but he's saying like what Easter is pagan.
Okay, and so you all are saying that it's not.
Yes, it's not pagan.
And so the guy Bede, what was the guy Bede that you quoted out of this book? What was he saying?
All right, so Bede is the oldest source connecting. So this is it right here. This is the translation of it in English, but he's the oldest source connecting Eostre, or like the Eostre deity goddess, to the name Easter. This is the only source that makes the connection, and it's the oldest source making the connection here. You don't
what year
find
is that?
anyone before him. This is in the 8th century, so like the 700s.
Okay. So you all actually believe Easter is biblical, and the word Easter is biblical.
I'm not saying the word Easter is biblical. I think it's rooted in Pascha, which I would say is connected to Passover. So yeah. Like the word Easter, if you want to say it's biblical, because it's a translation of the word Pascha in other languages.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Easter, Elder Green is absolutely right. And as far as hey, Leo, I don't know where you looking, man, but it's many sources out there and writers that wrote about Easter and the etymology.
Yeah, like name some of them right now. You in the house, you can't be on stage right now. Name them right now so Leo can pull them up.
No. There's plenty of authors. Don't let me go back in the vault and get my stuff about Easter.
Please, because this is what Elder Green did. This is what Elder Green did. This is why we beef, because he wasn't the vote. He been preaching this 25 years.
Yeah, but see, I told Leo a long time ago, man, him and Met and the rest of these guys so stuck on these books instead of using the scriptures to determine. They just always talk about sources and books instead of going into the Bible. And then when you go into the Bible, then you go Then you look through
King
history. I
James
told you,
Bible, which Bible should I
them
go in?
books. No. Them books from these finite men will lead you astray because the whole world is deceived, and that's just a fact. But here, let's get back to the bones of what y'all talking about.
Circular. Okay, go
Easter.
ahead. Never mind. Man. Go ahead.
Easter goes all the way back to Babylon. It goes all the way back. It goes to mythology. These names go back to Babylon. It goes back to mythology. It goes back to the Roman Catholic Church. It's just been passed down through the ages. Sometimes it's different names, but it still go back to Babylon. And essentially, when you're talking about Easter and you're talking about Ishtar or you're talking about Eostre, it all goes back to the Queen of Heaven, which the Bible talks about in Jeremiah.
Hislop. It doesn't
Huh?
follow.
No. Hislop is not the only one that Islam. I don't know why y'all don't like Hislop, but here's the thing: it goes all the way back to Babylon because Satan is a counterfeit. Is Easter? It does not coincide with Passover. It does not, and it does not because Easter. First of all, it's first fruits. It's not Easter. You know, it's Passover. It's not Easter. It's not It's not Lent because that's pagan, and it's first fruits.
Bruce,
I want you laugh at that.
I miss you, man.
I just listen, brother. What time is it? It's too late. I got to get
12:30. Pretty much 12:30.
So how long y'all gonna hey, brother Berean, how long y'all gonna continue this conversation so I can go back in my vault and find my work I did on that.
I think Brian will talk about this tomorrow. He don't talk about tomorrow, I think.
No, but no. You going back in the vote right now? I'm going to wait up. I ain't gonna make that coffee, but I'm gonna wait up.
I can't get to it right now because of the location I'm at. But hey, Leo, I told you, man, about them books, man. They'll leave you astray. You better go with the Holy Ghost, the Spirit of the Most High Yah, and the Word of God, because these men, first of all, half of them ain't even saved, you know, and they just writing and they repeating stuff. But I cannot believe you said that's the only one that you said as far as writer that talks about the etymology or connecting Eostre or the other names that she's named by and in history. That's just unbelievable to me. I don't understand that. But there's plenty of authors out here, including the Catholic Church. You know, Easter was put in place by Constantine when it was put in place by Constantine to come against the Jews and the Passover celebration. And in fact, but the etymology of Easter and how it's celebrated, what those buns, what Lent, what the spring celebration goes all the way back to Babylon, and then
he connected Babylon father. Yeah,
I'm serious. It goes all the way, and it all goes all the way back to Babylon, and it goes back to the Queen of Heaven, and it goes back to and it goes. I'm serious. Easter is pagan. Elder Green is 100% right.
It's wicked white people, right, Bruce? It's wicked white
people. No, it's all this is all. See, look at these writers. Germany, Eurocentric Christianity. Like I said, it is not going back to the early church. It does not go back to the early church, you know. But you can say it does. But it's all Eurocentric. But anyway, so I'm gonna get my stuff. I don't know why you all want to fight. Don't you know? You know? Don't you all know that Satan has deceived the world, and if and you will believe a lie and be damned because you don't want to adhere to the truth. The truth is Passover is not the same as Easter. Easter was put in place and on Sunday by Constantine because he hated the Jews. He did not. He said the Lord has. We will not follow this odious people. God has, or the Lord has shown us a different way. Easter and Sunday was put in place by Constantine, but prior to Constantine, it goes all the way back to Babylon and all those names and mythology. I'm serious, you know. And I'm gonna have to bring them sources out, Leo, because Bede or this book right here is not the only source that talk about it. There's plenty of other authors that talk about it.
No, I'm saying he's the oldest source. This is where they get. This is their primary.
Well, okay. Well, I'm just gonna have to bring up some more. How about this? There's plenty of authors that have wrote that this is, and including the old Catholic encyclopedias and everything.
Every one of them came after Bede. He put y'all on the path to this nonsense y'all on.
No. You can't get
different.
You can't get authors from Brother Maria. You can't get authors from all over the world. From all over the world, and everybody say, "Oh, we got to write down what Bede say." No. It's just the church has been deceived, and and like I said, the church is part of Rome. And you all don't want to admit it, but you part of Rome. You following Rome. It's one of you. The Christian church, as it is today, is the daughter of Rome, because you're following the Roman Catholic Church. The woman that's today's Christian church. Yeah. So anyway, Bruce, I got a source for you. Constantine guilty of it all. Down with the wicked Catholic Church. Well, all right. Let me get in my Barton so I can pull some stuff up, Leo. And but I'm telling you right now, man, that author is not the only author that have said that Astora, Ishtar is one and the same, and it comes from mythology.
He got it in the vault. You only put stuff in the vault that you treasure. He got it in the vault. This better not be pseudo. This better not be pseudo in the safe. That's what we're gonna call this new video. Pseudo in the safe. But go ahead, I'm listening.
All right, so hey, I gotta get up. I gotta get up at 4:45, so I gotta get some sleep. I only got 4 hours today.
Go do some real work. Catch a criminal, lock him up.
But hey, Elder, see, y'all bashing Elder Green for that one thing that he said, but in truth, he's telling the truth. It's Easter is pagan.
Hey, Bruce. Can I say this real quick? Real quick before you jump? Elder Green used a source from Encyclopedia Britannica, and we looked at an updated version, and it had some additional mentions that actually connects it back to Christian, Easter being Christian rather than pagan.
It is Christian. Easter is Christian, but it ain't from it ain't from the family of God. It's Christian. Christians brought that up, not the family of God. The family of God is not Christian. That's the title believers call themselves. But the family of God is not just Christians. Well, listen to what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying. The family of God are those who are born again believers. You can be a born again believer, listen what I'm saying. Just give me a second. You can be a born again believer, follow instruction on how to get saved, but don't adhere to the title Christian. But yeah, he's right. Christians is the originator of Easter, because it didn't come from the people of the way, because it's no way the Hebrew. You mean to tell me the people of God, the apple of his eye, would change his holy days to a Greek name? You cannot get me to believe that the people of God, that they would change their holy feast days to a name called Easter. No way. It's Christian 100%, and Christianity as it is today is wrong, because the original Christians did not go for that. That's all I'm saying. The original Christians, if you want to call them that, they adhered to Passover. They did not adhere to Christians. Even Polycarp. Okay, I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Go to sleep. He's sleepy time. We got to do him like my grandnephew, whatever that boy is to me. Got to give him a bottle and shake him, get in that bed boy and go on sleep. Go ahead. Darnell wanted to ask Leo. I don't know what these folk, they just.
I mean,
they like you.
Right, and I like Leo too, and I really like Uberin, and I like Elder Green. Elder Green is somebody who I respect, and I've talked to him. I sat in on his Bible studies, and I actually kind of frequent him on Sabbath lessons when he come on live.
Yes,
but the thing is this. And listening to some of the information that Leo's brought out, and you know what happened on the live yesterday, it is kind of, I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of disturbing to me, but you know I'm open for, you know, listening to try to understand the perspective, and I do understand based off of, you know, beads can't be proven. You can't prove that there is a connection between Easter and the goddess Eostre, and I understand that. But we have to understand that the word Easter came from somewhere. I mean, it's not in the Septuagint, and it's not in the Torah. So we have to ask ourselves this question: where did it come from? If it's from Anglo-Saxon Germanic origins, and it found itself in the King James Version Bible, what is that? I mean, logically speaking, for me, it's saying that it came from out of Europe. Now, even though Leo mentioned that you can get sites from, you know, early church father, starting at the 3rd, 4th, 5th century, right?
Even second, yeah, but keep going.
Okay, even second. Okay. Now, my question would be, what about, and Bruce just made mention of Polycarp, and I was listening to Dr. Brown earlier based off of you all's conversation, and Dr. Brown actually, you know, talked a little bit about Easter and Passover, and it was a little schism between Polycarp and the bishop that they was discussing the date of celebrating.
Eusebius. We're talking about Eusebius's work. Yes,
okay,
we know what you're talking about.
Celebrating Passover. Now, for whatever reason, they could not come to terms, and it caused a split between the East and the West, right?
No, that didn't happen.
Were they unified on or agreed on the date of celebrating Passover?
No,
that didn't start the split.
When I say
came way later, but I think we I don't know. I guess we understand where you're going.
Y'all, there's some controversy.
Story mixed up, but
was there a disagreement? Was there a disagreement on the date?
Yeah, it's a Quartesimal controversy.
Yes, but that's told. The split's 1,000 years later. The split's 700 years after.
Okay, well, I mean, everything evolves over a period of time, but what I'm saying is,
according whatsoever with that, let's not, because that's where some of the confusion coming in, and it's mostly coming from y'all side that don't know the history, don't know the primate, not familiar with the primate.
I read the.
What tell me exactly what you read? Name it. Say what.
Well, it's been. I have to refresh my memory. It's been a while, but when I was listening
Eusebius Ecclesiastical History.
That's the primary.
Okay, when I was listening,
Constantine and all of that, we were familiar with the stuff. That's what we're telling y'all. Y'all not gonna disrespect us.
I'm not disrespecting anybody.
No, I'm just saying, in that sense, y'all come and freestyle it, and then can't go straight to the source where y'all can run the Obadiah, Joel 3, the prophecy of the Edomite in the mountain and the Lord, and all of that stuff.
Well, I mean, I'm not everybody else.
It's late.
I'm not everybody else. Everybody's different. Nah, but the thing is, when you,
bro, shut it down, praying closes.
Yeah, I agree.
I get aggravated quick. I'm sorry, and it's wrong. I'm not perfect, but y'all ain't finna just come up here and saying everything. It's a spirit that want to tear the church down. If it ain't pagan, it ain't pagan. Period. But y'all want to make it that because y'all been promoting that demonic lie, and y'all love Hislop, and y'all get y'all pseudo from them white folk. Y'all get y'all pseudo from them white folk. They rule your mind with deception and lies. They invented race, and y'all yum. Y'all eat it up. Walk in the light of the Lord. We're going to tell y'all the truth here. We're going to show y'all something that y'all ain't going to like. Who was the first people to circumcise on this whole planet, on the whole God-given earth? Tell us that right there. We're going to talk to y'all about something y'all don't want to hear playing with that book. This Israelite doctrine ain't coming no vacuum. Wake your weak minds up. Receive the truth in your spirit. Oh, I don't receive that. No, that's cognitive dissonance. Y'all saying I don't receive it like y'all deep. No, you don't want to talk about facts. You jump off the Empire State Building. If you ain't got a parachute, you gonna bust your head. Those are facts. There's other facts in that Bible. Y'all just reading that Bible, but it's some facts outside of that Bible. And y'all ain't gonna want it. Good, brother. You close it out.
No problem. I appreciate it, Berean. I'll pray us out real quick.
I appreciate y'all. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody. Shout out to everybody. We'll pick it up tomorrow. We'll pick it up tomorrow. Yeah. But y'all gonna come around here playing games with us. And I'm gonna show some more of that garbage. And we're gonna get to the research while we talk about the Library of Congress, what JSTOR is, how we do primary research. We gotta look some stuff up. Elder Tim coming around here talking about circular. I don't go for none of that. Elder Tim is my man. I ain't going for none of that. We just coming from out that book. I ain't going for none of that. That's just me, but we're going to keep talking. Find another platform that's open to have these discussions. Can't nobody shut these down. If Elder Green cut herself, we're going to discuss Elder Green cutting herself. I'll tell y'all, I ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but we're going to figure this thing out, and nobody going to shut this down. Nobody going to twist it. All that interference and that nonsense y'all doing, boy, this ain't what y'all looking for. I don't care if this thing coming down to 12 people, we're going to deal with the truth, and we're going to think. God gave me a brain in my head. Even if I got to renew it, he gave me a brain for a reason. We ain't going to do this nonsense these stumpers out here do want to keep me ignorant, blinded behind racism and pseudo. If that's the foundation of the awakening, that awakening is going to get shut down. Numbers don't bother us over here. Broad is the way. Everybody claiming feminine energy. Everybody claiming Ruach leading them. And they doing everything under the sun. Get up out of here with that garbage in the name of this religion. That book is powerful. But a lot of people took it and manipulated people. A lot of people have been deceived with their own wicked hearts, their own wicked minds. Y'all ain't going to come pull that garbage on us over here. We're gonna come, let's reason together. We're going to talk this thing out. All right, go ahead, brother. I'm going to give it to you.
No problem. Hey, Father, we come to you tonight. Let us, Lord, to continue to grow together. Let us first understand each other more and look to the research and understand your truth, Lord. But all understanding, we point it back to you, Lord. Let us walk in your understanding more, read our word, and take more time to grow together, Lord, as a community, Lord. We are all here being believers in you, God. Let us continue to grow and also establish a community. Let us not bicker as much, but also let us get to the truth and understand each other more, Lord. Thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for bringing in this channel and this platform that we have to discuss these things, Lord. Any needs that Berean need, please meet them right now, Lord. Anybody that's also listening to this, Lord, meet their needs right now, God. Thank you for bringing us together here, and we'll come together tomorrow whenever else Berean wants to bring us back together again, Lord. Thank you so much for that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, love y'all. We're going to pick it up tomorrow. We'll continue our beefing tomorrow. Elder Tim just hit my jack. He said, wow, I don't have to agree with you, but I brought you on. I send him the link. All right, 8 might be too early, but who knows? I'll probably be up painting by 6, but we get it in. All right, love y'all. Darnell. Not Darnell. Yeah, that's a brother named Darnell. We'll pick it up from there. We'll see who hit on the link. All right, love y'all. Good night.
All right.
Good morning.